Sarah Johnson is a 38-year-old woman born and raised in Cedar Rapids, a small town in Iowa. Her life revolves around running Sweet Memories, a beloved local bakery. The shop's name comes from the taste of apple pie that Sarah's grandmother used to make for her. Sarah wakes up at 4 a.m. and starts preparing the day's bread and pastries in the kitchen of her cozy little house. As the morning sun streams through the window, she kneads flour and enjoys the scent of yeast. This quiet time is the happiest moment of her day. At 7 a.m., Sarah opens the shop and greets her regular customers with a warm smile. Her freshly baked cinnamon rolls and blueberry muffins have become a morning treat for the locals. By lunchtime, the shop is bustling with customers seeking her homemade sandwiches. The most important person in Sarah's life is her only daughter, Emily. Emily is 25, with a bright and lively personality. She had just started working as a teacher at the local elementary school after majoring in education in college. Mother and daughter often spent weekends watching movies or gardening together. Emily was Sarah's best friend and confidant. They were so close that they would talk on the phone every night about the day's events. Sarah loved nothing more than hearing Emily's laughter. 6 months ago, Emily married Jason, her college sweetheart. Jason was the only son of a wealthy family that owned an orchard in the neighboring town. The wedding was held at Jason's parents' vast orchard, and everyone in town was invited. Sarah felt a lump in her throat seeing how happy her daughter looked. However, after the wedding, Emily moved in with Jason's parents. Sarah initially felt a little uneasy about this decision, but she was reassured when Emily said, "Jason's parents are very kind, and I'm looking forward to helping with the orchard work." For a while after the wedding, Emily called almost every day, excitedly talking about her new life. But as time passed, Emily's calls gradually decreased. Sarah thought her daughter was probably busy adjusting to her new life and didn't worry too much. Recently, though, Sarah began to worry about Emily. When she called, Emily's voice lacked energy, and their conversations were short. Emily kept repeating, "I'm just busy with work," but Sarah began to sense that her daughter might be hiding something. Sarah's anxiety grew day by day. Emily's calls stopped completely, and she stopped responding to text messages. One day, when Sarah called Emily's cell phone, an unfamiliar woman's voice said, "Wrong number," and quickly hung up. Sarah felt a tightening in her chest. With her worry at its peak, Sarah decided to visit her in-laws to check on Emily. On a chilly autumn morning, Sarah baked Emily's favorite apple pie and loaded it into her car while it was still warm. After about a 30-minute drive, she could see Jason's parents' vast orchard. As Sarah parked her car, the sweet scent of apples from the orchard tickled her nose. However, contrary to the sweet aroma, a heavy anxiety swirled in Sarah's chest. When she pressed the intercom, Jason's mother Margaret came out after a while. "Well, Sarah. This is an unexpected visit." Margaret's voice lacked warmth, and she seemed to find Sarah's visit a nuisance. "Hello, Margaret. I've come to see Emily. I've been worried because I couldn't get in touch with her." Sarah tried to maintain a smile, but couldn't hide her confusion at Margaret's cold attitude. Emily is busy. She's been helping with the orchard work. Margaret made no move to let Sarah into the house. Sarah was shaken, but she couldn't give up. Couldn't I see her just for a moment? I've bought an apple pie. Margaret reluctantly let Sarah in. Guided to the living room, Sarah saw Jason's father Robert reading a newspaper. Robert didn't even glance at Sarah, keeping his eyes on the newspaper. Feeling uncomfortable, Sarah looked around for Emily. When she saw Emily coming out of the kitchen, Sarah gasped. Emily was emaciated, her cheeks hollow, with large dark circles under her eyes. There was no trace of the once bright and lively daughter. When Emily saw Sarah, she showed a surprised expression for a moment, but quickly returned to a blank face. "Emily, are you all right?" Sarah tried to rush to her daughter, but Margaret stood between them. "Mom, why are you here?" Emily's voice was small and seemed to tremble. "I was worried. I couldn't get in touch with you." Sarah's heart ached at the sight of her daughter. Emily started to say something, but Jason entered the room and the conversation was interrupted. Jason gave Sarah a cold look. "This is an unexpected visit. Emily is busy. I think it's best if you don't stay long." Sarah was surprised by her son-in-law's cold attitude. There was no trace of the gentle smile from their wedding day. "Could I talk to Emily for a bit?" Sarah pleaded. "No, not today," Margaret answered immediately. "Emily has work to do in the orchard." "Sarah, why don't you head home now?" Suppressing her desire to resist, Sarah spoke her final words to Emily. "Emily, if anything happens, make sure to contact me. You can always come home, okay?" Emily nodded slightly, but her eyes seemed to glisten with tears. Sarah left the house with heavy steps. As she got into her car, Sarah stared at the large mansion reflected in the rearview mirror. She couldn't shake the feeling that some terrible secret was hidden there. Sarah got into her car but didn't start it right away. She couldn't get the image of Emily's emaciated figure out of her head. Thinking she had to do something, but not knowing what, she gripped the steering wheel tightly. Just then, she saw Emily hurriedly coming out of the back door of the house. Sarah held her breath, watching Emily walk towards her. Emily approached Sarah's car, cautiously looking around. "Emily." Sarah opened the car window and called out softly. Emily quickly got into the car and hugged Sarah. "Mom, I'm scared." Emily's body was shaking. Sarah hugged her daughter back tightly. "What happened? Can you tell me?" Emily looked around, making sure no one was coming, then began to speak in a small voice. "Jason and his parents, they're watching me. They took away my phone." Sarah was shocked by her daughter's words. "Why? What happened?" Instead of answering, Emily slipped something into Sarah's jacket pocket. "Look at this, but not now. When you get home," Emily said hurriedly. At that moment, Jason's voice could be heard from the house. "Emily. Where are you?" Emily quickly got out of the car and, with a desperate expression, said to Sarah, "Mom, help me." Then she ran back towards the house. Sarah, although shaken, followed Emily's words and quickly drove away. Her heart was pounding fiercely all the way home. When she got home, Sarah hurriedly checked the contents of her jacket pocket. Inside was a small piece of paper and a photograph. The paper had "Help Me" written in Emily's handwriting, and the photo showed Jason and his parents handling some suspicious substance. Sarah gasped. Was this the truth Emily was afraid of? A mix of anger and fear stirred within Sarah. A strong determination to protect her daughter grew. The next morning, Sarah quickly finished preparing the bakery, left it to her employees, and headed to the local police station. Trying to suppress her rapidly beating heart, she opened the door of the police station. After explaining the situation at the reception, a middle-aged male officer dealt with her. Sarah desperately explained to the officer that her daughter was in a dangerous situation, showing him the note and photos she had received from Emily. "Mrs. Johnson, I understand how you feel. However, with this level of evidence..." The officer looked at the photo, showing a reluctant attitude. "But my daughter is asking for help," Sarah pleaded, her voice trembling. The officer sighed. "The Turner family are prominent figures in town. We can't act easily. We need more concrete evidence." Sarah was stunned. "So you're saying you won't do anything until my daughter is really in danger?" The officer looked at Sarah sympathetically but only said, "I'm sorry, but we can't act at this point." Sarah felt her chest tighten with disappointment and impatience. If she couldn't rely on the police, she had to do something herself. But what could she do? Sarah cried in her car after leaving the police station. She didn't have enough power on her own to rescue Emily. But who could she turn to? At that moment, Sarah thought of one person. She remembered Lisa, her high school best friend who now worked for the police in the neighboring town. Sarah renewed her determination and decided to contact Lisa. She was willing to use any means necessary to save Emily. With trembling hands, Sarah took out her cell phone and searched for Lisa's number. The two had only kept in touch occasionally since high school graduation, but Sarah remembered Lisa's strong sense of justice. "Lisa. It's Sarah. It's been a while." Sarah's voice was a mix of anxiety and hope. "Sarah. What's wrong? Your voice is shaking." Lisa's voice immediately showed concern. Sarah took a deep breath and began to explain Emily's situation. The abnormal atmosphere at the Turner house, Emily's emaciated appearance, and the secretly passed "Help Me" note and suspicious photo. She also told her about the local police's reluctant attitude. Lisa listened to Sarah's story in silence and finally sighed. "It's certainly a difficult situation. But there might be something I can do." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes at those words. "Really? What should we do?" "First, let's start an unofficial investigation," Lisa said with determination. "I'll introduce you to a private detective I know. We'll have them secretly observe the Turner family." Sarah felt hope rising within her. "Thank you, Lisa. From that day, Sarah and Lisa's secret investigation began. The private detective surveilled the area around the Turner house, gathering information on the family's behavior patterns and visitors. 2 weeks later, Lisa brought important information to Sarah. Unfamiliar cars have been coming to the Turner house regularly, and there seems to be suspicious activity in the orchard at night. Sarah gasped. Emily's photo, it was true. Lisa chose her words carefully. There's a high possibility of drug manufacturing, but we still don't have definitive evidence. Sarah felt impatient. We need to rescue Emily as soon as possible. I understand, Lisa put her hand on Sarah's shoulder. But it's dangerous if we rush. Let's gather a bit more evidence. Over the next few days, Sarah kept in close contact with Lisa, watching the Turner family's movements. The private detective succeeded in photographing suspicious chemicals being brought into a shed deep in the orchard. We can move with this, Lisa said excitedly. There's a high chance we can get a warrant. Sarah sighed in relief. We can save Emily. Lisa began to carefully plan. We'll conduct the raid at midnight. That's when the Turner family's guard will be at its lowest. We'll protect Emily and seize the evidence at the same time. Sarah nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and expectation. I'm coming too. Lisa hesitated for a moment but agreed upon seeing Sarah's determination. All right. But you must follow my instructions. The two worked out the details of the plan and set the execution date. Sarah's heart raced at the thought that the day to rescue Emily was approaching. Just a little longer, Emily. Sarah whispered in her heart. I'm coming to save you. As they proceeded with the preparation of the plan, Sarah was surprised at her own courage. Who would have thought that the usually quiet bakery owner would take such dangerous action? However, she was prepared to do anything to save her daughter. At the final briefing, Lisa held Sarah's hand. It's going to be okay. We'll definitely rescue Emily. Sarah took a deep breath and steeled herself. Tomorrow night, everything would be decided. On the day of the operation, Sarah was restless all day. While working at the bakery, she kept looking at the clock, eagerly awaiting the arrival of night. At 9 p.m., Lisa came to pick up Sarah. Are you ready? Lisa's voice was tinged with tension. Sarah took a deep breath and nodded. I'll do anything for Emily. The two headed to where the police special forces were waiting. Lisa confirmed the details of the operation in the final briefing. At 11 p.m., when everything had fallen silent, the operation began. The special forces swiftly entered the Turner property and headed for the shed deep in the orchard. Don't move. The officers' voices broke the night's silence. Inside the shed, Jason and his parents were caught red-handed at the drug manufacturing site. Sarah felt an inner victory at their shocked expressions. Meanwhile, Sarah and Lisa headed to rescue Emily. After searching through the house, they finally found Emily in the basement. Emily. Sarah embraced her daughter. Emily was thin and exhausted, but she shed tears of relief in her mother's arms. Mom, you came. As Lisa protected Emily, Sarah witnessed Jason and his parents being taken away by the police. Their expressions were a mix of anger and fear. "Sarah, get out of this town!" Jason's father shouted, but was restrained by an officer. Sarah calmly replied, "You're the ones who need to leave. I won't let you hurt Emily ever again." The following weeks were spent on Emily's recovery and dealing with the aftermath of the incident. Emily received treatment at the hospital and gradually regained her strength. Sarah visited Emily every day, offering words of encouragement. "It's okay now. You're safe." As Emily recovered, she began to gradually talk about her terrifying experiences at the Turner house. Forced participation in drug manufacturing, daily abuse, isolation from outside contact. Sarah's heart ached every time she heard about her daughter's suffering, but at the same time, she was impressed by Emily's strength. In court, Jason and his parents received harsh sentences. As the full extent of their crimes came to light, the townspeople began to show sympathy and support for Sarah and Emily. On the day of her discharge, Emily anxiously asked Sarah, "Mom, what's going to happen now?" Sarah smiled gently. "Our new life is about to begin. Let's get through this together." After that, Sarah and Emily started a new life. While receiving psychological counseling, Emily gradually began to return to her work as a teacher. Sarah's bakery flourished more than ever, becoming a warm place symbolizing the bond between the two. One day, Emily visited Sarah's bakery. As always, the warm scent of bread wafted through the shop. "Mom, we have a special guest coming today," Emily announced happily. As Sarah looked puzzled, the door opened and Lisa entered. "Lisa!" Sarah exclaimed in surprise. Lisa approached the two with a smile. "I heard from Emily. Today marks the first anniversary of your new life." Sarah burst into tears of joy. "It's all thanks to you, Lisa. Thank you so much." The three shared their joy, enjoying fresh croissants and coffee. Outside the window, the soft autumn sunlight was shining down. As Sarah looked at Emily and Lisa's smiling faces, she made a vow in her heart. She would continue to protect her loved ones. And no matter what difficulties may come, she would never give up. A breeze signaling the start of a new season blew pleasantly into the bakery.